Chapter 8. The Gathering Crowd. They came from all corners of the city, funneling into the main square by the thousands. Uniforms, civilian clothes, banners, and flags. An endless college of faces and voices. The square itself was shaped like a massive amphitheater, ringed by tall governmental buildings and flanked by imposing statues of heroic figures. The fly, perched atop a lamppost, watched the human tide surge below. The chanting grew louder, punctuated by orchestrated salutes. Over and over, the crowd repeated a phrase, unintelligible to the fly, but potent enough to stir them into an almost hypnotic unity. On the stage, the man in uniform stood with a posture of absolute authority. Officers flanked him, eyes fixed on their leader, as though he were the axis around which their world revolved. A hush fell as the speaker raised his gloved hand. Then his voice boomed through loudspeakers, echoing off stone walls. Though the fly couldn't decipher words, he felt the resonant force, like a current carrying the crowd's emotions toward a single focal point. The man's eyes blazed with conviction, lips curling into fierce expressions as he gestured forcefully. The crowd responded with thunderous cheers. Hovering just above the lamppost, the fly sensed his own exhaustion building. The day had been long by his measure, and the sun was nearly gone. He fought to stay aloft, to remain part of this monumental moment. Around him, the crowd seemed to hold its breath between the speaker's sentences, as if waiting for each phrase with reverence or fear, or both. The fly took wing, drifting closer to the stage. Each beat of his wings felt heavier, his body pushing the limits of its energy reserves. What he wanted, needed. To be nearer, to see if this was where he might find an answer to the question that had haunted him since morning. What is the purpose of life, especially one so brief? Below, rows of uniformed men stood guard, forming a buffer between the speaker and the masses. Their faces were impassive, locked in disciplined stares. Past them, the first rank of the audience pressed forward eagerly. Some clutched flags, others wore armbands with that stark emblem. A wave of fervor rippled through them each time the speaker raised his voice. Suddenly, a swirl of eddies in the air threatened to toss the fly off balance. The amplifiers crackled with the rising volume of the speech, broadcasting it to an increasingly enraptured crowd. High above, searchlights crisscrossed the sky. Each pass of light momentarily blinded the fly's compound vision, making him blink in disorientation. Yet he persisted, maneuvering closer to the podium. He felt an inexplicable draw, as though this moment was tethered to his own fate. The speaker's words, dripping with forceful conviction, rolled over the gathering. Tense expressions, clenched fists, and tears. Yes, some wept, revealed the emotional weight. History, it seemed, converged here in the city's heart. Nightfall brought a chill, and a gentle wind carried the smell of fuel, sweat, and a metallic tang of tension. The fly's wings trembled with fatigue. Not much longer, he told himself. I must see this through. The stage lights cast long shadows across the grand square. Behind the speaker, the colonnade was draped in a gigantic banner showcasing that eagle-like crest. He floated precariously near a set of scaffolding that supported floodlights pointed at the stage. From there, he had a partial view of the man's profiler, a rigid jaw, a sweep of dark hair beneath his brimmed cap, eyes that flashed with an intensity the fly could barely comprehend. The speaker's voice rose, steering the crowd to bursts of thunderous applause. The fly noticed subtle details. Spittle forming at the corners of the speaker's mouth as he shouted his words, the frantic scribbling of a stenographer at a small table to one side, the flicker of uncertain glances among the uniformed guards. At times, the speaker paused dramatically, letting the tension build like an invisible coil. Each pause made the crowd lean in. In those silent beats, the fly's mind raced. Is this it? Do these humans know something about existence? They chanted, they cheered. Perhaps they believed they had found their purpose in the speaker's ideals. Yet the fly felt only a swirl of perplexity. He recalled the orchard's calm, the orchard that had seemed a world away. The orchard had given him a peaceful perspective, but not answers. Now he stood at the opposite extreme, amid throngs electrified by a single voice. The fly's wings faltered, forcing him to land on the edge of the microphone stand. A risky move, but it offered a more stable perch. He clung to the metal with tiny legs, feeling the vibrations of the speaker's voice resonating through the stand. The magnitude of the moment struck him. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, watched and listened. If one life can matter here, perhaps it's the life of this man, the fly mused. He holds their hearts in his palm. But in that same instant, a wave of acceptance washed over the fly. He realized that no matter the grandeur of human affairs, his own life would soon end. He might never fully grasp what these men fought or spoke for. Yet a quiet voice within whispered, "Your purpose may be simpler than you think." Up close, the speaker's face revealed lines of strain and ambition. The microphone amplified his every breath and syllable. The crowd roared Anu, flags waving in the night air. The fly felt his final reserves of strength ebbing away, as though the culminating moment was near. He could sense the day heading toward its conclusion. A glimpse of the sky showed darkness dotted with faint stars. One day, he remembered, that is all I have. And here he was, at the epicenter of something that might shape the course of nations. Even if he couldn't name it, he sensed its gravity. Tucking his wings in, he crept a few inches along the microphone's rim, almost brushing the speaker's sleeve as it swept past. The man's words pounded through the apparatus. The crowd's cheers reverberated. The tension soared to an apex, and the fly felt a pull, like destiny curling its finger. Night tightened its grip, and the question remained, Would he find an answer before his time ran out? Heart-pounding, if a fly's heart can pound, he braced himself. The final act of his short life was upon him.
Please do me a huge favor and like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it.